All right, we are live for another NPC update. All right, hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Have a couple things to get into. Some Mark Carney stuff, some updates on what the polls are saying, what the air quotations polls are saying. Never believe them. Do not trust the polls, they change weekly, and you gotta wonder where they even get the information from anyway. I can't lie, I did receive a text message asking me who I will be voting for in the next federal election. So, some company is sending out text messages. I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't know if that's how they're doing it specifically, or if they're bringing in controlled groups of people to give in a, a fake federal election. However they're deciding to do this, I'm not entirely sure. But I figured I would point out that I did receive a couple text messages from some group. Somebody's got phone numbers. But anyway, an organization Carney founded and co-chaired is now being investigated by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee. Started off early here, already messing up words. For allegedly violating antitrust laws by pressuring companies to adopt net zero goals. Carney, the more he speaks, the more that comes out about him, and the more you can just find information. They're digging it up everywhere, left, right, and center. This man is involved in so much. It's kind of scary. An opening statement from the House Judiciary Committee regarding the air quotations climate cartel, which is Mark Carney's climate alliance. This is an antitrust and collusion investigation. Every word in this statement is exactly what Carney has been making financial institutions and companies do. Is this, and then it says, this is who we want running our country at the very end here. I mean, according to some people, all they had to do was slap in a new individual and the entire party has changed. I don't know what it is over these past few weeks, but there's been this strange wave of Carney supporters. People actually believe the entire party has changed simply based on this alone. He got rid of the carbon tax. Well, the consumer one, the industrial one, he's kept and plans to continue to raise the price on it, which will only make the cost of living go up across the board. When you tax the industries that produce, for example, food or grocery stores or whatever the case is, yes, everything will continue to go up as they see profit losses based on getting taxed more. It's not a good thing, but this just further proves Mark Carney and where he's coming from and the things he's involved with. This guy's very slimy. He's a scumbag. And right now, he's propped up as our prime minister temporarily. And like I said, I don't know. We'll get into this polls video after this. I don't know where all this Carney support is coming from. A lot of deranged people here in Canada that can't separate Trump from Pierre Poilievre, calling Pierre Poilievre Timbit Trump and all this. At the end of the day, if you can't separate Trump and Pierre Poilievre, that just speaks volumes about the person you are and the way you think. And it's really sad at the end of the day because these two people are nothing alike, not even close. Why? Because Pierre wants to put Canada first? Because he wants to put this country first? Because he's saying things that may sound like what Trump said that instantly makes him like Trump? I don't think so. Not how that works. But anyway, this whole Carney investigation, it's just gonna, more and more stuff is gonna come out. It's only gonna get worse from here. So let's take a listen.
Legendary economist and Nobel laureate Milton Friedman explained, quote, "There has never in history been a more effective machine for eliminating poverty than the free enterprise system and the free market. Collusion, on the other hand, raises prices and reduces both output and consumer choice. Thus, antitrust law aims to protect competition and prohibit collusion. In fact, the Supreme Court has described collusion as, quote, the supreme evil of antitrust. Despite these long-standing economic and legal principles, the climate cartel is engaged in anti-competitive collusion to impose radical environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, goals on the American people. In his testimony to this committee, Andrew Bahar highlighted the 3 C's of collusion. They collaborate, convene, and coordinate. Gee, it's like you wanted to say the word collusion, but you didn't say it, so you asked ChatGPT to give me an alliteration, to go to the thesaurus and find 3 words that are like collusion but not collusion. These were his words: collaborate, convene, and coordinate with other members of the climate cartel to impose their ideological agenda on the American people. This climate cartel consists of left-wing activists, dominant financial institutions, and the groups and initiatives that facilitate the collusion among them. Specifically, groups like Climate Action 100+ expressly require the investors who join them to pressure the companies they invest in to, quote, decarbonize and reach net zero emissions. Asset owners like California Public Employees Retirement System, or CalPERS, and asset managers like Arjuna Capital then use the investments they control to force companies to disclose their carbon emissions, to reduce their carbon emissions, and to adopt governance mechanisms that enforce these commitments, even though these commitments are bad for investors and consumers. The climate cartel engages in a series of escalating pressure tactics to force American companies to act against their own self-interest and adopt its desired left-wing policies. First, the climate cartel leverages its investment holdings to demand meetings with corporate management. If corporations refuse to cave, the climate cartel then escalates to filing shareholder resolutions.
If they don't follow suit with what they want, they go to the shareholders and they make the company begin to fall apart. They rip it apart from the foundation. They go after shareholders. This is the exact thing that Carney is involved with. And some of the stuff here are his exact words. As is said, this is all coming out right now.
Demanding that companies take action. Groups like Climate Action 100+ then, quote, flag these resolutions, drawing greater attention to them and making them even more effective. If companies still fail to bow to its demands, the climate cartel then seeks to replace members of their boards of directors. Notably, the climate cartel did so at ExxonMobil in 2021, replacing 3 directors with members of its own choosing. The climate cartel's commitment and demands reduce output and raise prices for American consumers. There's no way to reach, quote, net zero without reducing production and diminishing the American standard of living. These negative impacts are especially pronounced in the fossil fuel, aviation, and agricultural sectors. In other words, the very industries that allow Americans to drive, fly, and eat. For example, the climate cartel has said that fossil fuels must, quote, stay in the ground to reduce carbon emissions. Similarly, the climate cartel has called for reducing the number of airplane flights by 12% and capping passenger.
The same people that want to reduce airplane flights are the people flying in massive jumbo jets with 1 or 2 people inside of them all over the place to talk about this quote-unquote climate crisis. These people are deranged, they're insane, and it's coming out now. They literally want to tear apart entire companies in order to get their way. If you do not lockstep with their beliefs, as you heard there, members on a board were removed and replaced. Like, that's insane. That's actually top-level lunacy at its finest. Oh, you don't think the same way I do? Well, then you just lost your job. Not only are you going to lose your job, we're going to tear apart the entire company from the inside out. It's pretty fucking insane, if you ask me. It really shows you how these people work and how they think. They don't care about anybody else. If you don't follow suit, there's a party in the 40s, 1940s. You didn't follow suit, some crazy things happened. Yeah. Kind of wild how that works, isn't it? All right, guys. The election has been called. A massive election is on its way. The polls. What are the polls saying? I always mention this. Do not trust the polls. Okay? Do not trust them. It changes almost every week, and depending on what mainstream media source you are reading, they'll tell you a different thing almost every time, unless they're bought and paid for by the same person. Then you start to put two and two together and see that almost every headline is the exact same, minus one or two words being different. Do not trust the polls. That being said, we're going to watch this video to, I guess, air quotations, give us an idea of what the CBC mainstream media believes is happening. Now, I said this at the beginning of the stream. I personally received a text message. I don't know if it was by the CBC. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but I received a text message asking me who I was going to vote for. Didn't reply to it. Okay, I don't want to respond to that shit. But however they're gathering this information, whether it's a controlled test where they bring people in, or they're just emailing, texting, however it works, I do not know. But this is what the CBC thinks.
The Liberals and Conservatives are now almost exactly tied in the polls, each with 37% of the vote. The New Democrats well behind at 11%, then the Bloc and Greens. But almost as important as the now is the trend. After years of Conservative dominance, in January, Justin Trudeau resigned. Trump became president, and the Liberals surged, gobbling up support from both the Conservatives and the NDP. A dramatic shift, and it may not be the last.
So one thing is for sure. The NDP is going to be a nothing party. They're going to have 2-3 seats, maybe. If we're being nice, maybe they'll have like a quarter of what they have, but I strongly believe this election is going to decimate their party. They're not going to have anything left. It's going to be good night NDP. Now the main thing is, why are people all of a sudden voting Liberal or believing that this Liberal Party has changed? They actually think that Mark Carney is the man. They think that everything has turned around because they swapped out the head. I don't know what to tell you guys. I know that like most people in here probably already believe this. The Liberal Party hasn't changed at all. Every member is the exact same. They still think the exact same. This party has not changed. What is really happening is people are comparing Pierre Poilievre to Donald Trump. People actually believe Pierre Poilievre is Donald Trump 2.0. I don't know how people are making this connection. I don't know where these ties are coming from, other than the fact that the mainstream media has been constantly gaslighting people into believing this. Like I said a couple streams ago, the mainstream media is back doing what they do at full force, and they're actually doing it incredibly well, and people are buying it. The same people that used to call out the mainstream media saying it's garbage, don't listen to it, are now running lockstep with everything they're saying. And it's gone as far that people are now comparing Pierre Poilievre to Donald Trump. Guys, it speaks volumes about who you are as a person and the way you think if you cannot separate these two. They are not the same people, not even close. Our political system here in Canada is so incredibly different than the United States. The things we are running on here are not the same as what's being ran on over there. The policies they're enacting and trying to get rid of are not the same here. I'm sure there's a lot of talk over here about things we want to do to change this country in shape of the United States. But my God, you have to be a truly deranged person. I'm flat out saying it. You have to be actually insane to call Pierre Poilievre Donald Trump. I don't know what to tell you. go seek therapy, maybe stop watching the mainstream media, go outside, breathe in some fresh air. Cause like you're crazy if you actually think that. Like, take a step back, do some critical thinking, actually use your brain for once instead of just downloading the mainstream media update. For the love of God, it will do yourself, you will do yourself a favor by not just being a drone and mindlessly drinking the slop that the mainstream news gives to you. Holy shit. Some of the most wild stuff in recent time. If the Liberal Party actually wins this election, guys, I don't even know, man. I'm probably just gonna laugh. I don't even know. Because, fuck, our country is truly deranged if that's the case. I'm just saying. Like, it takes a very deranged person to not be able to separate those two. Anyway, let's continue.
That CBC Poll Tracker is an aggregator of trusted Canadian polls. One of them is from the Angus Reid Institute, and Shachi Kurl is the president of that organization. So, Shachi, after that sudden shift that we saw with the Liberal surge, should we expect more volatility ahead?
I mean, a big part of this comes down to how solid and locked in is that vote, Ian. And I can tell you that where the Conservatives have started to really see some losses, they're losing voters. Among the voters that they still have and are hanging on to, those folks are solid voters for the Conservatives. They're not going anywhere else. At least about 3/4 of them aren't. And so that's key. That's really important. Conversely, though, for those newly converted Liberals, when you ask them, how committed are you to this party that you're choosing or leaning towards? Only about half of them say they're fully locked in. So watch for this to keep moving in different directions, or to see those Liberals lock in and convert. And if that happens, my goodness, look out.
When we were on cross-country checkup earlier today and one went to Burnaby to speak to voters there, I heard about the economy being a key concern, from tariffs to affordability. Beyond that, are there any issues that you see coming up in the polls that could turn this election?
I think we've already seen the big election turn issue already baked into this campaign, and it's the Trump factor. It's sovereignty, it's annexation, it's tariffs, and that has reframed the ballot question. Remember?
Oh man, see, this is what I'm talking about. All of our issues stem from within, and they can't admit that. It's all just Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Donald Trump has not ran our country for the past 10 years. And like I said, if you can't separate that from what is actually happening around, and you can't separate Pierre Poilievre from Donald Trump, I think you're just truly lost. You are truly lost as an individual. Moving onward. A Jagmeet Singh reporter or supporter. Here, let me start from not a reporter. A Jagmeet Singh supporter assaults citizen journalist by grabbing his arms and trying to take his phone. Why are leftists so violent? I do have to be careful here. If it actually is assault, I could get in trouble from YouTube, so I'm gonna have to do a little slow motion look here. See if... Okay, that's not...
Don't put your camera in my face, please.
Don't touch my camera. They shouldn't be allowed on the property.
Whoa, you can't touch me. Whoa, don't touch me. Keep your hand. Okay, I didn't realize that I wouldn't. Do I have any rights?
Do I have any rights, he says, because the police officer is right there. I thought it was a little more violent than that, but no, that's... Yeah, he shouldn't be touching him, obviously, but... okay, I thought it was a lot more violent than that. When you say assaults, I kind of think you're going a little more extreme than that, but hey, I guess assault technically is just grabbing somebody to an extent. Yeah, I don't know why they can't just have a conversation. They can't just interact with people. He seems like he's on something, if you want my honest opinion. Like, I don't know. Kind of a strange little interaction there, if you would. Okay, guys. The other day, and we're going to get into this, yesterday. Is this yesterday it happened? Yeah, the massive rally. Pierre did a huge rally. 32,000 viewers in a 14 to 15 hour time span. Jagmeet only got 729. 729. And I mean, if that doesn't tell you anything, look at the crowd difference. Holy shit, man. Yeah, I truly think the Liberal Party is going to be gone. It's going to be crazy to see a party just Thanos snapped out of existence. Anyway, I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. We have a pretty long, for the most part, Pierre Poilievre rally to go through here. This one happened yesterday. I believe this is the same one that they just showed in that picture. It's now up to 82,000. And if this is a different stream or video or whatever, 82,000 views within 17 hours. That's pretty damn good. That's not bad. And this is the highest quality the video goes. Pierre, you might need to hire a better cinematographer because this ain't it, Chief. I can't see anything. I don't know. It looks like they're in some sort of warehouse. But anyway, yesterday, Pierre did this massive rally in Hamilton, and Hamilton is known for its steel. It is the Hammer City. And right now, steel is kind of a big question on what's going to happen. Especially, you know what, I am going to mention the tariffs. Not just the United States, but from China as well. Nobody's talking about China. Everybody likes to forget that China put 100% tariffs on us. Or at least they were going to. That was going to absolutely destroy our farmers. It would have been a nightmare. China getting away with it, though. Hamilton, known for its steel, I have a solid feeling they're probably going to go heavy blue. The blue-collar man does not like the whiny, pussy liberal, and I just know this for a fact. I used to work in some pretty blue-collar places, you could say, so trust me, I know for a fact that a lot of these guys are probably voting Pierre.
Who's ready to axe the tax? Who's ready to make some steel? Who's ready to bring home the great Canadian promise? Wow. What an incredible introduction. Let me start by giving a grand thank you to the amazing Nathan Bergstrand. Nathan Bergstrand with the United Association. Business manager. Give him a round of applause. A great union leader. A great union leader who's been fighting for the steam fitters, for the plumbers, for the welders, the people who literally build this country with their hands, and they have a great champion in Nathan, and I can't wait to champion those workers with you right across Canada. Incredible. Incredible, the thousands of workers who've been trained, represented, grieved for, and who've had their wages improved, their safety protected because of this incredible union that has fought for its people. You know, it's the union history of Hamilton. Great unions fighting for the rights of their workers on the floors at Stelco and DeFasco. Over 100 years of steel history. We have any steel workers in the house? And they had a very basic idea. You know, they call it a collective agreement, which is a longer way of saying a deal. We had a deal in this country, didn't we, Nathan? You get up in the morning and work hard. You do the right thing. You follow the law. You get a nice house in a beautiful neighborhood, on a safe street, under a proud flag. That was the deal in this country. That was what made this country so special. It's what attracted people from around the world. That was the Canadian promise. But after a decade, a lost liberal decade, of costs and crime rising, of our economy falling under the American thumb, this Liberal government does not deserve a fourth term. We need to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government.
So I'd just like to point out again, this is the highest quality it's at. I don't know what's going on here with their feed. Pierre, you gotta figure this out, buddy.
Thank you very much. What a crowd! What an incredible crowd here in the Hammer.
See, in the Hammer.
Look at this crowd.
Listen to the cheers, man.
You know
Look at that crowd. Listen to the cheers. You will not see this same level with Carney. It's just not even close.
The Liberal establishment has said that their party deserves a fourth term in power. They replaced the much-hated Justin Trudeau with his economic advisor and hand-picked successor and said you should just forget about the last
Wow, not only is it bad quality, it's cutting out and everything.
10 years, where they doubled housing costs, doubled the national debt, doubled the lineups at our food banks, doubled violent crime, and they said, elect them for a fourth time. The Liberal establishment has anointed our next leader, who's not even been elected, but is also already acting like he runs the world. This guy... And I don't want to run the world. I want to put you back in charge of your life. I'm not running to take power. I'm running to give it back.
Okay, so I do want to watch this, but if it's going to act up like this the entire time, hopefully it fixes... Okay, it looks like it does. So we'll suffer through a couple minutes here of whatever quality this is.
That's economic. Thank you. That's why I'm running for office. I don't want to run your life. I want to run a decent government that lives within its means, leaves more in your pocket, lets you get ahead, does a few basic things right instead of doing a lot of things wrong, that gives people back control of their decisions. But most of all, the reason that I am in politics is to restore the Canadian promise, the promise that was made to my wife when she arrived here, that was made to me when I was born to humble means, that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work pays off, that we can be proud Canadians, that we can fly our flag, that our people can trade with each other, that our soldiers can protect us, that our borders are secure, that we are one country, united for the Canadian people. Après 10 ans des libéraux, ils ont brisé notre système d'immigration, ajouté 100 000 fonctionnaires inflations américains. C'est notre économie, c'est-à-dire mettre le Canada. Now, we know that Donald Trump would like to have Mark Carney, a weak liberal, in charge of our country. Because...
That's why he endorsed him. Carney gets into office, Trump steamrolls him. It's just that simple.
He knows, first of all, that Mark Carney will sell out our country, as he's done so often. He's a guy with, up until recently, had 3 passports, moved his corporate headquarters out of Canada to New York, only days after Trump threatened tariffs, leaving behind Canadian workers. And it was revealed today that Mark Carney actually went to China and took a $250 million loan from a state-backed Chinese bank. And he still has investments in the same company for which that loan was made, which means that the Prime Minister of our country is now beholden to a hostile foreign regime that has executed 4 Canadian citizens, taken 2 others hostage, done incursions into our Arctic waters, and has interfered in our democracy. It is time for Mark Carney to stop covering up his foreign conflicts of interest come clean about what you own, and stop selling out our country to foreign interests. This is the globalist ideology, which seeks to shut down our resource sector and move jobs abroad, bring in big, heavy taxes on our citizens, while importing goods from countries that pollute far more. This has destroyed the working class in our country. Meanwhile, they print money, driving up the cost of housing and food, forcing our people to go to food banks, and are blocking an entire generation from ever owning a home. That is what has been the result of the last 10 years. My friends, the last 10 years have been about the Liberals. I'm here to say that the next 10 years are going to be about you. Absolutely. Hey, good to see you guys. Thank you. We are unleashing a beautiful Canada First plan. They will put Canadians back in charge of their country and put you back in charge of your wallet. It starts by bringing back our jobs and our industry so that we can once again be a self-reliant nation that stands on its own 2 feet. Yeah. We know that what has driven the money away, capital goes where capital grows. And extremely high taxes in Canada mean that more and more industry is forced to leave for places where they can get a better business environment and lower taxes. Higher taxes on energy, investment, work, and home building mean less gets done in this country. But we're going to reverse that. I've announced that we will pass a big, beautiful, bring-it-home tax cut on investment, work, home building, and energy that will incentivize our economy to be strong again. Income tax. Income tax, the worst tax. Income tax is... I was talking about that incredible meme that I saw online the other day. There was a kid in a park with his dad, and the kid was crying, and he said to Dad, "What is an income tax for him?" And the dad said to the boy, "It's just like your high school report card, except the reverse. The harder you work, the more you get punished." Income tax is the fine you pay for the crime of working hard. The more you work, the more you pay. And that's why people say they put in an extra hour, earn that extra bonus, get that extra shift, and they look at their pay stub at the end of the month, and it's one tax after another. It's not.
I had friends who they didn't want to get raises at their jobs because they got bumped into a new tax bracket and they would get taxed more. And it's like you literally, it's true. You literally don't want to get paid more. You don't want to work harder because they just take it all from you. It's not my money, it's our money. And that's what the government looks like right now. Fucking brutal.
Worth it to work more. That's why I've announced that a Canada First Conservative government will cut income taxes by 15% to make work pay. Thank you. Lower income tax. Anybody over there want an income tax cut?
That would be massive. An income tax cut? That would be huge.
Anybody out there think that you should get more of your paycheck and that the government should get less? Yes. That's what's going to happen. An income tax cut will mean our workers and families have the ability to spend more in local businesses, which will create yet more jobs for workers who will pay even lower taxes. These tax cuts will apply to every single person who pays income tax. It is a tax cut for retired seniors who are on a fixed income. Are we any of those here today? Lots of them. It is an income tax cut for the waitress who is struggling to feed her children but works hard every day to get that extra tip. She'll be keeping more of the tip, and more of that will go into nutritious food for her wonderful kids.
That's why they compare him to Donald Trump, because he wants to give people their money back and he wants to cut taxes. Oh no, he's so evil. Guys, oh please, vote Mark Carney. Pierre is so fucking evil. Jesus Christ, man.
It's an income tax cut for the steel worker at Stelco, DeFasco.
Stelco and DeFasco, two of the largest plants and moneymakers here in Ontario, and without them, the economy, at least here, would be gone. It would crumble instantly.
And it doesn't stop there. Not only do we want you to bring home more of your paycheck, you need a home to bring it to, right? So we've got to build the homes. Right now, the biggest part of the cost of any new home in Ontario is taxes. Nationwide, it's the same story. 30% goes to taxes. Another 20 to 30% goes to bureaucratic delays. The time it takes to get a permit, the rezoning, the lawyers, the accountants, the lobbyists, the bureaucracy, the side fees. In fact, more money from a new home today goes to bureaucrats in office buildings than goes to the carpenters, electricians, and plumbers who actually build the homes. And to add insult to injury, those carpenters can't even afford to live and buy the homes that they built. That is fundamentally unjust. Nathan, would you say there are many of your members that can't actually buy a home? The young guys, do we have any 35-year-olds living in mom's basement here? You don't have to be ashamed. It's everybody. It's normal now. It's now bizarre when you meet someone under the age of 20 that's been able to buy a house. It really is. It's hard to believe this, but 10 years ago, the average home in Canada cost $450,000. Today, it's almost double that. And worse, in big cities, it's well over $1 million. Vancouver and Toronto are the two most expensive housing markets in North America. Worse than New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, many other places where incomes are higher, population is greater, and there's less land to build on. We have the most expensive real estate in the G7. We have the fewest homes per capita in that group, even though we have by far the most land to build on. So tell me this, we have 10 times as much land to build on per person as the next closest country, and somehow we have the fewest homes. But what's the cause of that? Government bureaucracy, government gatekeepers. Now, let's be very clear about this. The same Liberals who doubled housing costs over the next 10 years will only make it worse if they are re-elected to a fourth mandate. What we need is a Canada First government who will bring real change. And this is my plan. First of all, we will take the GST, the federal sales tax, off all new homes of under $1.3 million. Build the homes. Build the homes. Build the home. Build the home. Build the home. But we're not done there. We're giving billions of dollars of federal money right now to municipalities. The Liberals have encouraged those local governments to build up their gatekeeping bureaucracies that stop building from happening and give us the second slowest building permits anywhere in the OECD. I will require municipalities, as a condition of getting their federal funds, to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development taxes to build 15% more homes every single year. And then we will sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build beautiful homes. And you know something, it just warms my heart to think of the beautiful U-Haul truck rolling up with a wonderful family in it to move into their wonderful new home in the former headquarters of the CBC.
You can only wish, or can only hope, that these things will actually happen. We don't just need homes, we need homes that, yes, exactly, houses should not be over $1 million. We need houses that are actually affordable in the first place. Cutting taxes on building new homes, I guess 1.3 million and under, that's a start, but most people can't even afford the cost of a house now, which is roughly 800, 900,000. Good portion of them, yeah, depending on what you're looking at, 1 million, maybe more. So, like, we need some cheaper houses here. That's what we really need.
So we're going to get rid of the taxes on new homes. And we're going to get rid of the worst tax of all. A tax on your energy, a tax on your food, a tax on your job. I'm talking now, of course, of axing the Liberal carbon tax.
Oh my god, there's so many people there that they were like standing up on top of things to see.
So, first of all, the father of the carbon tax, of course, is Mark Carney. Mark Carney. He was Justin Trudeau's economic advisor while Trudeau raised the tax. Trudeau passed a law to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a liter. Now, they did have one disagreement, just one. Mark Carney thought that Trudeau's carbon tax was not high enough. He said the tax should go even higher, and that in order to make it less unpopular, it should be turned into a shadow carbon tax. That is to say, carefully hidden so that nobody can tell when they're paying it. You see, if you just embed it, it's a very sneaky move. And so after having this, Liberals having this tax in place for 7 years, they decided that 30 days before the election, they would hide it at the gas pumps so that Canadians would forget about it. And of course, the Liberal media tells us we're not allowed to talk about the carbon tax anymore because they want people to be tricked into voting Liberal again, after which Mr. Carney, along with his radical Liberal MPs, will raise the tax higher than ever. Now, if you doubt that for a second, keep in mind that numerous Liberal cabinet ministers have literally said the planet will burn if you don't have a carbon tax. So you want us to believe that they've suddenly changed their mind 30 days before election? Give me a break. If you believe that, I've got swampland to sell you in Florida. Expecting a Liberal to stop raising your taxes is like expecting a vampire to become a vegetarian.
Hey-o.
And then there's the industrial carbon tax. Now, this part, I have to give Mr. Carney credit. He's been honest. He wants an industrial carbon tax. And he was asked, who would pay it? And he said, well, don't worry. Canadians don't have to pay it because it will go on things like steel. And nobody uses steel anymore, he said.
Oh, yeah, steel, it's just a thing of the past. We don't use steel to build anything anymore. We're actually moving on to grass and dirt.
Have you been to Hamilton lately? I think he was over, was it in the Sioux? He went to a steel plant. They weren't welcoming him very warmly over there. He could only find Liberal MPs to stand behind them. Imagine how little you have to know about the economy to think that we can have a modern economic civilization without steel. Steel is literally the bones of a modern economy. You tax steel, you tax everything. And that is one of the reasons. That is one of the reasons why conservatives, a new conservative government, will put Canada first by axing the carbon tax for everything, for everybody, for real, for good, for a change.
Yeah, actually, we're moving on from any sort of metal fabrication across the board. It's just a thing of the past, guys. Get with the program. Come on now.
And then we'll move on to the next part of our Bring It Home plan, and that is to bring home our resource jobs for a change. Our minerals, our oil, our gas, our stuff has to come out of the ground. It has to be refined and improved here, and it has to be sold to other markets than the United States so that we get the benefits in this country and we stop subsidizing the Americans and the Chinese and the others. I've said that I'll kick that off by moving within 6 months to get permits on the Ring of Fire to unleash tens of billions of dollars of resource production right here in Ontario. Your guys are going to be working there. Your workers are going to be working on that project directly and indirectly. I think we have some LiUNA people here. LiUNA! We're going to have LiUNA workers on those job sites. They build roads. You know what? Stephen Guilbeault, Mark Carney's minister, doesn't want to build any roads. Well, we've got news to him. When I'm Prime Minister, we're going to rapidly grant more permits to build beautiful highways, and those highways will lead to mines, and our workers will be putting paychecks in their pockets. We're going to approve pipelines made with Canadian steel. We'll grant rapid permits for liquefied natural gas plants. We've got incredible natural gas advantages. First of all, we've got 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Second of all, it takes 11 days to ship from British Columbia to Asia. It takes 20 days from the U.S. Gulf Coast. Furthermore, it takes 25% less energy to liquefy a gas in Canada because it's so cold. The cold weather removes a lot of the electricity that you need to cool the gas into a liquid form to get it on the ship. Furthermore, we have clean hydroelectricity in BC, Newfoundland, Quebec that could power that liquefaction. All we need, when we ask the people who build these things, what help do you need to make it happen? And they say very simply, get out of the way. We're going to repeal C-69, the No New Pipelines Law, and replace it with a new law that will allow our builders to get permits within no more than 1 year and ideally within 6 months. We will pass something called shovel-ready zones. Here's the idea. We sit down and we look at the places where good industrial activity should go. Pipelines, mine, power stations, data centers. And then we draw a circle around it. We grant permits before we even receive an application. We publish the specifications and the standards that the builders have to meet to protect the security of the population and our local nature. And then we get out of the way and let entrepreneurs lock arms with workers and get the shovels in the ground. That's how we're going to get these projects going. We have incredible opportunities, my friends. In the States, the big tech companies are all building these data centers. Meta, Microsoft, The others they're actually buying nuclear plants of their own because these data centers are electricity-consuming beasts. That's what they need. We need them here. You know, this is to power artificial intelligence. You know, we have a lot of artificial intelligence in the government. But it's a different type. But when you do a ChatGPT inquiry, it takes literally 9 times as much electricity as a Google inquiry, just for scale. We have an electricity surplus. The Americans have an electricity deficit. And that's why we need to bring that production and those data centers here from the United States. But in order to do it, we need fast permits for the LNG power plants, the nuclear power plants. We got to build the nukes. And for the data
We gotta build the nukes. Wait, hold on a sec.
centers themselves. This will unleash massive $200,000 and $300,000 a year jobs for people who wear boots every day. It's going to boots, not suits. These are going to be incredible jobs for our people. And that's what our plan is, boots and not suits. We are going to, I'm telling the young people across the country, the best jobs of the future are going to be in the trades. Get yourself an apprenticeship. Do we have any tradesmen in the room? Right on. You know, when I go into businesses like this across the country, I did 600 events last year. And the businesses are no longer run by lawyers and MBAs. They're actually run by tradespeople who started working with their hands, and then they realized their problem-solving ability would help them run large businesses, and they're actually doing the best. But we need more of them. Right now, all the money is going to university and white-collar education. I got nothing against university. It's great. But we need to make sure that a fair share goes to the trades. And that's why my government, absolutely. We're going to bring back the $4,000 apprenticeship grant to help our young people with the cost of an apprenticeship. And we'll partner. We will partner with our union friends in great organizations like the United Association, like LIUNA, like the Boilermakers and others to build big, beautiful training halls that will train 350,000 young tradespeople for the future. Boots, not suits. Boots, not suits. Boots, not suits. But we want them to bring home paychecks to safe neighborhoods. Safety was something we used to take for granted in Canada. In fact, there are many communities across this country where people used to go out without even locking their door. And now, often they're afraid to go out at all. Crime, chaos, drugs.
Hamilton's a prime example of that. It's a fucking terrible place to be now.
And disorder are increasingly rampant on our once safe and tranquil streets, as we see increasing violent crime taking over in places where we were safe before. What is the cause of all this crime? Well, the good news is we don't actually have a lot of criminals in Canada. The bad news is they're very productive, right? A very productive group of a small number of criminals do all the crime. In Vancouver, for example, they had to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times. That means that the average offender was arrested once every 2 days. I mean, that actually takes work. You basically have to be doing crime all day, every day, if you're going to get caught every second day. But if you took those 40 offenders off the street, you would have 6,000 fewer crimes. So right now, we have Bill C-75, the Liberal Catch and Release Bail Law. That's right. Catch and release bail requires judges, and I quote, to release offenders at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions. That's right in the law. And so the judges do what is written down, and they release the criminals often before the police have even filled out the paperwork on the latest crime. Then they've got C5, the house arrest law, which allows convicts to do their penalties in their living room. Larry Brock, the prosecutor, is here.
It allows convicts to just hang out in their living room. You know what? You could do some heinous shit. Go chill out in your TV room and watch whatever while you serve this sentence. That's some of the craziest shit, man. Our system here is beyond broken. Like, how does somebody get arrested 6,000 times and, like, the same 40 people 6,000 times, and you can't look at that and go, maybe at, like, the 1,500th time, you actually put them away for good, or, I don't know, the second time or the third time? No, you just keep, like, 6,000? Holy fuck.
Stand up, Larry. Stand up. Larry, the prosecutor. Oh, yeah, stop the crime. Look at that. He was literally, you were literally a Crown attorney, weren't you? Yeah, so he's put, for 20 years, you put a lot of bad guys behind bars, eh? It would be a frustrating thing to try to do right now, eh? You'd be getting a lot of return customers. Yeah. I think someone said you almost got him, so I think he snuck out just under the wire, that guy over there. I'm sure he's a harmless guy, though. But in truth, it's funny that the joke is not really a joke. The police tell me that many of the criminals don't even try to avoid getting caught anymore, because it's actually more hassle to avoid getting caught than it is just to go in and go out. Anyway, house arrest means that if you're a chronic car thief, you can serve your sentence in the comfort of your living room, watching Netflix, or playing Grand Theft Auto, or walk out the front door and do the real thing all over again. And then you've got C-83, the despicable law that has allowed Paul Bernardo to move out of a maximum security penitentiary. My friends, if you re-elect the Liberals to a fourth consecutive term of soft on crime, you will have more chaos and violence in your streets. If you're ready to put Canada first for a change, Canadian safety first for a change, then you need a new Conservative government.
I hope the Conservatives get a massive majority, because if they don't, it's going to be a Liberal NDP coalition again, and all of these bills that they want to get rid of, they're going to have a fucking hard time doing so.
We will. Our plan will repeal C-75, the catch and release law, and C-5, and we will bring in a new rule. Repeat offenders will be ineligible for bail, probation, parole, or house arrest. Jail, not bail. And then we will repeal C-83, and we will send Paul Bernardo back to a maximum security penitentiary forever. And then there's the drugs, the opioids. We know what happened. Greedy and corrupt pharmaceutical companies distributed these drugs in our hospitals and pharmacies. They told doctors to tell people they were not lethal or addictive. They were just a harmless way to make aches and pains go away. Often working class communities where people had job-related injuries would go to their doctor and say, "What can you do about my hip or my back?" And they would get overprescribed. They found that these drugs brought them comfort from the stresses of life, but then they couldn't get off them. And the drugs spread far and wide across North America, and in Canada, they have killed 50,000 of our friends, neighbors, brothers, and sisters. More than died fighting for Canada in the Second World War. The government's solution has been to provide what they call safe supply, a taxpayer-funded stream. A taxpayer-funded stream of opioids that then get resold to children as the addicts and the drug dealers use the proceeds to buy more dangerous fentanyl. Fentanyl is 100 times more powerful than heroin. 40 milligrams of fentanyl is enough to kill 20 people. Just to put it into perspective. My friends, it is like mass murder.
Wow, okay, I'm gonna have to play that one back. I'm not sure if you guys heard that. Let me turn that up to the full.
Perspective. My friends, it is like mass.
It's very hard to hear, but somebody yells, "Give it to Paul Bernardo."
Murder. It is like mass murder when you distribute these drugs. So our government, listen, there's
At least I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
no way Mark Carney is going to tackle this problem. He said it's not even a crisis. He's not going to stand up to China, which is producing the ingredients that go into these drugs, because of course he has massive financial interests in China. He's got a loan for his company from China. He will never act against China to defend our people. Well, I can tell you, we will put Canada first. We will stop the drugs with a real plan to bring our loved ones home drug-free.
Speaking of China, some crazy stuff that actually happened 6 days ago. I saw it briefly, but I was like, did this actually happen? I guess Canadians or dual citizens, like 4 of them, were caught. How can I say this TOS friendly? They were caught doing some things that they probably shouldn't have been doing. And they got the, well, yeah. Yeah, you can see that for yourself there. All 4 of them. They got deleted. And that's, fuck, man. That's some crazy stuff. And the thing is, there's not much information being released about it because China doesn't really have to. They can just withhold everything. Like, nobody has to demand them to release any information. Like, Canada, Ottawa, they tried to fight for these people's lives. They pleaded and pretty much begged China to at least give them some sort of leniency to allow them to work this out. But dude, China is one of the most strict places when it comes to drugs. And yeah, they're just you're gone. If with anything, you're gone. Even if it's like a class 1 drug or whatever, how they classify drugs, yeah, you're done. Pretty crazy stuff.
So here's the plan, my friends. First of all, we will declare that selling over 40 milligrams of fentanyl is equivalent to being a mass murderer. There will be life sentences for mass traffickers of fentanyl. Absolutely. Second, we will stop giving out tax-funded opioids, and instead, we will invest the money in treatment and rehabilitation to bring our loved ones home drug-free. Beautiful places like the Oak Centre in Winnipeg, where they bring young people off the streets, give them counseling, group therapy, detox, physical exercise, yoga, sweat lodges for First Nations. They lift people up, cleanse their bodies of their poisons, repair their souls, help them get into a home and a job. and start their lives all over again. My message to anybody who's struggling with addiction out there, hang on, have hope, help is on the way. Thank you. And we will secure our borders. Right now, only 1% of shipping containers gets inspected because we don't have enough frontline resources. Meanwhile, the government is spending billions of dollars confiscating lawful property from licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested hunters and sport shooters. Which of course makes absolutely no sense, because if you've got a license, it means by definition you're probably not a criminal, right? Criminals don't go out and get a license to buy a firearm. It's crazy. It's common sense. Over 80% of the guns used in crime in Toronto, according to the police, are actually illegal guns smuggled in through the Canada-US border. So here's my common sense plan. We're going to have high-powered scanners that can look right into the shipping containers and intercept the drugs, guns, and stolen vehicles. Here's how it would work. You imagine the inspectors are there. They look at the manifest. It says that there's modular parts from the Faro facility in here. Faro, there's Faro. So it says that there are these beautiful modular parts inside there. But you look at the scanner and it turns out it's a beamer. Well, then you pull the beamer out, you call the guy on the VIN, and you say, were you planning to send your beamer to Turkey today? And he would probably say, no, I was going to drive it to work. I work at...
Yeah, I kind of need that, actually. Could you bring that back to me? That would be very helpful.
Faro. I was going to go in, but I had to call them and tell them my car was missing this morning. And so they said, well, it's okay. We've got it over here at the port. We'll give you your car back. And then you find out who booked the shipping container, and you say, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. It's pretty simple. We're going to have watchtowers and 2,000 more CBSA officers who will have the ability to guard our entire border to intercept drugs, guns, stolen cars, illegal migration. And we will pay for all of this by cutting back office bureaucracy, overpriced consultants, and canceling the confiscation of the property of licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested hunters and sport shooters. I want to protect Canadians from criminals. The Liberals want to protect turkeys from hunters. I think it's pretty clear who's got their priorities right and wrong in this business. We're going to do the right thing for our people and the right thing for our country. Because it's clear, after the lost Liberal decade of rising crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder, electing the Liberals to a fourth term will only make it worse. Instead, we need to put Canada first for a change by locking up criminals, securing our border, and protecting law-abiding people.
And there you have it. There's a little bit more, but I would assume it's probably not more of the same old, but more or less the same old. As we were watching that, Pierre, he's actually live right now doing a speech in somewhere in Quebec, I guess. Tax cut for seniors. So to all the seniors that watch out here, there you go. A tax cut will be coming your way if you vote for Pierre. Let's listen on in.
Now, if you don't mind a few words in English, I want to thank everyone here. First of all, Bernard Genereux.
There you go. He's definitely in Quebec if he has to apologize for speaking English.
Local member of parliament. It's great to be in Montmagny today at Maison La Prise. This is for two very important reasons that we've chosen this location. Maison La Prise builds homes, which was one of my top priorities. We've got to build the homes in order to house our people. We have to put an end to the liberal housing hell of the last decades. And there's only one way to do it. It's for the government to get out of the way and off the backs of the people behind me who build these homes. These fine folks are working every day to bring affordable homes. These are module pieces that snap together. They're kind of like Lego blocks, I think. No? Okay. They are? So they're like Lego blocks, so that we can actually assemble the houses much more affordably and make it possible to get people a roof over their head. I've already announced some of my plan to reverse liberal housing hell. We're going to take the GST off new homes, axe the sales tax on homes of less than $1.3 million, saving people up to $65,000. An idea that I brought to the House of Commons, but sadly the Liberals unanimously voted against. This will stimulate the construction of an additional 36,000 new homes above and beyond what would normally be built, and it will save families $3,000 a year on their mortgages. The second reason why I'm here today is because Maison La Prise has many workers who are over 65 that bring lots of wisdom and insight to the younger workers. Quebec has always been a province where people roll up their sleeves and work hard. They protect their culture, their language, and their history, something we need to do more of across the country. But the industries across Quebec have suffered under the lost Liberal decade of high taxes, burdensome government and bureaucracy and red tape. As a result, after the last 10 years of the Liberals, housing costs have doubled, food prices have inflated. We have 2 million people lined up at food banks. There's more crime, our borders are in trouble, and our country is in an unprecedented state of economic weakness facing the Americans. It's very simple. After the lost Liberal decade of costs and crime up, of our economy down under America's thumb, do the Liberals deserve a fourth term in power, or is it time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, and help our seniors have a beautiful retirement? I know the answer to that question, and I think Mr. Carney does too. That's why he was afraid to debate me at TVA. He can't debate in French because he's too weak or too fragile to defend the idea of a fourth Liberal term in power. If he's too weak to defend himself in a debate, how will he defend himself against Donald Trump? We need a strong leader who's capable of standing up to Trump and standing up for Canadians. Now, we also know that Mark Carney has been hiding his assets in foreign tax havens. Just today, we learned that his company, under his watch, put money in Bermuda to avoid paying Canadian taxes. All while Liberals force Canadians to pay higher taxes, Mark Carney dodges the bill himself. He thinks millionaires like him shouldn't have to pay, even while single moms, seniors, and small businesses are forced to fork over ever more money to this out-of-control, greedy Liberal government. Mark Carney is out of touch. In his mind, taxes are for the little people, not the millionaires and billionaires like him. Carney needs to come clean about his offshore dealings and how much of his assets are still hidden in tax havens. You know, Canadians deserve to know what financial interests a Prime Minister has. Here's the problem with Mark Carney. He's outsourced jobs, he's offshored his taxes, he's the most conflicted and compromised Prime Minister in our country's history.
Carney literally sits there and goes, Trump is bad, while simultaneously moving his businesses to the US. It's one of the most asinine things I think I've ever seen in my life. The guy is a major hypocrite. He's two-faced. He cannot be trusted. WEF member for years upon years. This guy just out of nowhere appears as propped up as the party leader and now the Prime Minister of Canada, temporarily. But based on how things are going, it could be another 4 years of the exact same government that just, claims to be a little bit different now. It's going to be brutal, man.
I'm running for Canada because I'm running for Prime Minister because I want to put Canada first. But you can't do that when all your interests are locked up in foreign interests. For example, how would he ever crack down on tax evasion, on offshore tax havens, when he's got his money wrapped up in those same havens? How would he ever crack down on the abuses by China of our steel industry, when his company owes $250 million to the Chinese government's state-owned banks? How would he ever protect Canada against the U.S. when he's already moved his company headquarters to Donald Trump's hometown and the jobs and money with it? The answer is he can't. Now, this distraction he has about blind trust. Let's be blunt. Mr. Carney knows exactly what assets he owns. He put them in the trust knowing what they were, and he knows that his trustee cannot sell those assets. So whether or not it's technically in this Venetian blind trust, he knows what he owns. The only ones who are blind are Canadians. Canadians are the ones who are blocked from knowing the real financial interests of their Prime Minister. And that's why I reiterate my call for Mark Carney to come before Canadians, open up the books, tell Canadians what foreign conflicts of interest he has that go against the interests of Canada. I'm running for Prime Minister to restore Canada's promise so that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house on a safe street protected by solid borders and brave troops under a proud flag, and where a lifetime of hard work pays off with a beautiful and solid retirement. But let me paint a picture. Imagine you've been working for 40 years and you've done all the things right, but you still want to contribute. You've got a lot of wisdom, smarts, and energy. You see a lot of young people that could use some mentoring at a local business. There's a labor shortage in your community, so local businesses looking around for employees. So you're not ready to hang up the skates. So you go in, you get a job, and the first paycheck you get, you realize it's all chewed up by government clawbacks and taxes. OAS is clawed back, GIS is clawed back, and then there's income tax, payroll tax, and many other taxes. This means that sometimes you could be worse off for the next dollar you earn. If you go from a $25,000 a year income to $35,000, more than half of that extra money will be chewed up by government clawbacks. On top of that, the government forces you to pull out your RRSPs at age 71, even if you want to grow them a little longer. And then immediately those are taxed as well. So there you are, punished for saving responsibly, punished for working hard. Now, first of all, it should be clear that no senior should ever be forced to work. But those who choose should not be punished. After the lost Liberal decade, Canadian seniors can't afford a fourth Liberal term of making Canadians poor and Canada weaker. They need a new Conservative government that will lower taxes, support seniors, and put Canada first for a change. That's why, as Prime Minister, I will work hard. I will work hard for the people who work hard. And I will see to it the system rewards hard work by people of all ages. Right now, seniors get a basic personal exemption of about $15,000. On top of that, they get about a $9,000 age credit. But that's where it ends. That's not enough. And that's why today I'm announcing that a new Conservative government will put Canada first by allowing our seniors to earn up to $34,000 tax-free. Thank you. This will save a working senior up to $1,300. Income above $34,000 will also be taxed at a 15% lower rate, because earlier this week that I've announced that I would cut income taxes by that amount. So you'll earn 15% less income tax on the income that is taxable, and you'll have $34,000 tax-free. This will mean for a working couple that happens to be of retirement age, they will literally save thousands of dollars they can spend on a nice summer vacation, or maybe spoil the grandkids just a little bit more, ensure they can pay off their what's might be left of their mortgage, or have some extra money to eat some better food and enjoy some more activities with friends and neighbors. Seniors deserve security, and that's why I'm also confirming that Conservatives will keep the retirement age at 65. CPP will be age 65, OAS 65, GIS 65, so that Canadians will know they'll have that income coming in and they'll have a reliable, solid retirement and a solid floor under their feet. But they also deserve the freedom to decide how they save and if they work. Right now, Canadians who save tax-free in their RSP are forced to take it out by 71. As I said, this forces them to pay taxes earlier than they might like and shortens the time they might grow their nest egg. That's why I'm also announcing that Conservatives will put Canadian seniors first by allowing them the option to keep their RSP invested and growing until up to age 73. This will allow more growth tax-free so that there's a bigger nest egg for the future. That means more control, more flexibility, more financial security. These savings, along with my major income tax cut, will mean seniors will bring home more of their pensions and paycheck. Unlike the Liberals, a new Conservative government won't tax away decades of hard work. You know, I was just speaking to Natalie and Denis, both of whom said that they would love the ability to work well past 65, but they see how that will chew up their benefits from the government, and they know that taxes will eat up the money that they have come off their paycheck. That's where the lost Liberal decade has left them. I want people like Natalie and Denis to have the choice and the freedom to contribute. With labor shortages and a weak economy, we need our smartest, wisest people who choose to contribute, to offer all they can, and we need to reward them when they do. And we were going to do that by making our economy stronger. It's time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will lower taxes, protect senior savings, build a Canada where decades of hard work deliver a great retirement, a Canada that axes taxes, builds homes, unleashes the economy, stops crime, and brings home jobs to stand up to President Trump from a position of strength. As Prime Minister, I will reward hard work and restore the Canadian promise. And that promise is very simple. Anyone from anywhere can do anything. Hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house, on a safe street, protected by brave troops under our proud flag. That includes for our wonderful seniors, for them more than anyone who built this country. Let's put Canada first for a change and bring it home. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you.
On va maintenant passer aux questions.
Thank you.
All right, it'll be interesting to see how many of these questions are in English.
Bonjour, M. Poilievre, Christian Noël,
Bonjour.
au Canada.
Ça va bien?
Ça va très bien, vous?
Excellent. Un peu soif, mais
Je vous laisse prendre une gorgée, OK?
peut-être j'ai trop parlé, hein?
Ben, 30 minutes, c'est long. J'espère que vous allez prendre 30 minutes de questions.
Peut-être.
There's nothing sadder than seeing a 72-year-old woman working at KFC because she has to. Yeah, absolutely. By that point, the government's failed. That's kind of just how I look at that. They've taxed you so much that everything you have worked for up to that point has forced you to go back, and not just working like a decent job. You're working a minimum wage at KFC, which is not really a decent job, in my opinion. I mean, to some people, it might be the greatest thing ever, but in my opinion, not something that you would want for a career or to be doing at 72 years old. Unless you really love KFC, I don't know. That could be your thing. Personally, no.
30 minutes de réponse.
30 minutes de réponse. Je vous laisse prendre votre verre d'eau, puis on se reparle. On demander concrètement.
Si l'argent est au mieux lieu, comme impôt, comme conseil, vous voulez pas parler, est-ce que vous savez que oui, non, c'est pas une question des jours. Après être dans comme par quiconque peut c'est est-ce que plombier, that it's increasing milliardaire. Thank you very much. So I was asking the gentleman, who's a very informed journalist, whether he knows what Mark Carney's investments are. And he said, no, that's not his fault. That's Mr. Carney's fault. I just point out that it's incredible that even the journalists who follow this stuff very carefully do not know all the conflicts that Mr. Carney admits that he has. Now, he claims that somehow this money gets funneled through a Bermuda tax haven only to come back to Canada. Well, why wouldn't he just leave it in Canada in the first place? If it were going to be taxed in Canada, he wouldn't need to funnel it through Bermuda. I don't know, how many of you funnel your investments through Bermuda before you bring them back to pay taxes? I think the answer is zero. You know, and so Mr. Carney makes these workers who are struggling to pay their bills pay full taxes in Canada, while he ships his investments off to Bermuda to dodge his obligations to this country. That's money that should be going in tax revenue to fund our schools and our hospitals, but instead it's going to pad the pockets of millionaires and billionaires like him. He thinks that taxes are just for the little people, not for big shot bankers like him. This is exactly the wrong kind of experience we need in a prime minister, and the worst kinds of conflicts of interest he will use. He says, by the way, he says he knows how the world works. He thinks he knows better than all these hardworking people behind me. I can tell you they know a lot of things that he has no idea about. I'd like to see them. I'd like him to come in here for a day and try to do their jobs. He wouldn't make it through 1 hour. Oh, wait, I will say it. And for merci beaucoup. He says he knows how the world works. He knows how to make it work for him and against you. And that is exactly what he will do as Prime Minister. The answer to the other question was whether I have investments in tax havens. The answer is no. After President Trump began threatening our economy, I sold my investments in foreign economies, and now I invest in Canadian stocks and Canadian companies. I brought my money home to this country, and we will, in our platform, be cracking down on the types of tax havens that Mark Carney has used to cheat the system. We will ensure that the fancy big bankers pay their fair share. If waitresses and plumbers and mechanics have to pay taxes in Canada, then the big shot bankers should have to pay taxes here as well, and that is how it's going to work when I'm Prime Minister.
Merci.
C'est quoi ça?
Merci, on va passer à la prochaine question.
Abigail Beeman, CTV News. Throughout your career, you've repeatedly said that CPP benefits were too generous, that premiums were too high. Your announcement today sounds like you're supporting the status quo, so I'd like to ask what's changed. And as well, we're just hearing that President Trump is expected to announce auto tariffs at 4 o'clock today, so I'd like to get your response to that.
Thank you. We will protect CPP, OAS, and GIS for age 65. The retirement age will remain 65. You will get all your CPP, all your GIS, all your OAS at age 65 under a new Conservative government. As for President Trump, my message to him again is knock it off. These tariffs are simply causing chaos in markets. They're dislocating workers on both sides of the border. Stop threatening Canada with tariffs. Stop talking about our sovereignty. Our two countries have been two wonderful friends over centuries. It is better to build on that Canada-U.S. friendship as two separate and sovereign countries. And if the president does hit us with more tariffs, we will retaliate. But more than that, we have to reverse the weakness that the Liberals have caused in our economy. Through hiking taxes on work, investment, home building, and energy, and blocking our resource projects, they have driven $500 billion out of our economy, all while Mark Carney was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. After a lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime, a falling economy under America's thumb, the Liberals do not deserve a fourth term. We need a new Conservative government that will put Canada first by axing taxes, approving resource projects, bringing home our jobs, and standing up to President Trump from a position of strength.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Okay, so before we continue there, I would like to bring this up. Hopefully I have a decent... Okay, that works, actually. This is Main Street Research. They have polls up right now, or whatever you want to call this, a poll of some sort. They get their information via integrated voice response, meaning that people are reached through cell phone, either cell or landline. They are played a recorded message by a real person, and then from there, the person they call presses a button corresponding to their vote preferences, demographic, whatever. So, I don't know how many people they call. I don't know if this system can be abused. Let's say, you know, somebody that works there just calls the same number over and over again, and they continue to vote the same party, whichever one they please. But based on everything that we see here, the Liberals are apparently going to get a lot more seats, and the NDP is just going to disappear off the map. Nothing's going to happen with the Conservative Party. They're just going to remain the same. So, I don't trust the polls. Here's another one. Based on province. I probably scroll up here. This is the... Who is the CBC? They have Carney up by quite a bit now. And based on the province, it... I don't know, you can make your mind up there. Quebec is the interesting one because we're watching this live stream right now that Pierre just did in Quebec. They're saying that the Liberals are up quite a bit, and they're up a lot over the Bloc as well. The Conservatives are actually down. So, Quebec is a very interesting province because depending on who they vote for could very well pivot the election in any way. And, I don't know. If it goes to the Bloc, like, nothing changes. At least I don't think anything changes there. Not sure who's in power as of right now, but I would assume it's the Bloc. But I don't know. The Liberals out of nowhere, they just have this massive lead. So make that up for yourself. Decide for yourself what you want to believe there. My opinion, we will see when the election actually comes. That will be the deciding factor. But when you look at the rallies, when you see the social media stuff, you really got to question the polls because Pierre was surrounded by what looked like hundreds, maybe thousands of people, easily thousands of people in Hamilton there. And you look at Carney, and he has to dress up his own cabinet members to make it seem like there's people there with him. I don't know, though. It's going to be very interesting. That's all I can say. Only time will tell.
Merci beaucoup. Comme j'ai dit déjà, qui empêche les emplois des deux côtés pour les taxes pour faire face à la prochaine. Je vais dire que au Canada, merci.
Monsieur Poilièvre, dans l'Est, comment vous allez la clé dans la...
On devrait encore choisir de plus en faire les étrangers des images TC of qu'on cause autre nous paye plus temps que le libéral les peines d'aller dénoncer pas question at the jobs et le congédier de son conseil assez c'est assez pas d'initiative libérale du siècle. In English, you ask a very good question about the issue of temporary foreign workers. I think first and foremost we need to make sure Canadians get the jobs. Canadians first, always Canadians first. And that includes those seniors who choose to work. They should not be punished. They should get that $34,000 tax-free plus lower income tax above that so that we can honor those seniors who have more to contribute. In rare circumstances where there are not enough Canadians to fill jobs, we should allow temporary foreign workers. That is for farming, and for small businesses in the tight labor markets of the regions of Canada. And we will work to end the chaos. After the lost Liberal decade, our immigration system is in total chaos. Fraud has overtaken the temporary foreign worker and the international student program. They allowed temporary foreign workers into places where there's already high unemployment of over 6%. This chaos is playing out in our housing market, our job market, and our healthcare system. And I will end that chaos. Allowing the Liberals to have a fourth term in power will only make it worse. We need a new Conservative government that will put Canada and Canadians first. That includes opposing the Liberal Century Initiative, which seeks to increase our population to 100 million people. This is an idea from Mark Wiseman. Mark Wiseman is now Mark Carney's advisor on Canada-U.S. relations. He insulted Quebecers. He said he was going to push his 100 million person plan even if, quote, Quebec howls. That is a disgusting insult. It's a slur against Quebecers. And he should be ashamed of himself. And Mark Carney...
Just such a weird thing to say, too. Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Carney, if he respected Quebecers at all, would fire Mark Wiseman and reject the Liberal Century Initiative. Conservatives will reject the Liberal Century Initiative. We will get back to common sense immigration that puts Canadians first. Thank you.
Merci. On va passer à la dernière question.
Oui, bonjour, Cathy Desjardins pour Loi Blanche, ici à Montmagny. Donc, place comique, ça vient.
Okay, so I believe that was the last question. I found this while we were watching that. Mark Carney. These are the workers who are going to build a strong, modern military fleet. It's time to invest big in our national defense and to protect our sovereignty. It's time to build Canada strong. Directly under this post, by the way, the like to comment ratio is not looking too hot there for Carney. Remember me? This is what Canadian workers really think of you. Wow. And yeah, he's got quite a few likes there on that post. Making it, actually, you know what? We got a ratio Mark Carney. That would be the ultimate goal at the end of the day. To ratio this fucking pathetic man. But yeah, the workers don't like him. And he can prop them up like Pierre tries to, but it just doesn't work. They don't have that same feel. The blue-collar worker does not like the Liberal, and trust me, I know from experience. Anyway, take a sip of water here. I think that is going to do it for today's stream. I'm going to take one last look. We got something to laugh at. Hold on. We got something to laugh at. We have Jagmeet Singh campaigning in Hamilton.
Enjoy your day. Thank you.
This is live right now. We're actually gonna watch this.
I'm here with Monique.
I know Monique. We've already chatted today. Yeah, for sure.
Good luck. Hope things go well. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Hi, nice to see you. I like your Canada lanyard. Very nice. How are you doing? Nice to meet you. Pleasure.
Okay, enjoy your game.
Yes, take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Al. Nice to meet y'all. Look like you're very deep concentration to your meeting. Thank you.
This is painfully awkward.
You should.
Okay.
Do you want a picture with them?
Getting close at me, maybe.
Do you have your phone? I'll take it for you.
This doesn't even look like... Oh, it is a rec center. I was gonna say, this doesn't even look like it's something that he set up. It's just like a thing the seniors do in Hamilton. And that's literally what it is. He's just visiting. This is wild. He's trying to buy himself votes right now.
You can't win them all.
Hey, Jigme, we're gonna take a photo.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, please. I'd be honored. Oh, thanks so
Hold
much.
on. That photo could not be complete.
Oh, yes.
Unless we did this.
Lovely. Thank you, sir.
You want to do one of just you and I?
Yeah, come on.
You and I?
Just you and I.
Oh.
I'll take it for you.
Mountaineers.
This one's.
Here, I'll
Do you
do it.
have your phone?
What the fuck is going on here? All right. I think I'm gonna end it there. We're watching Jagmeet struggle around this recreation center right now, trying to get any vote he can. Wow, guys, I didn't think it was this bad for the NDP, but it clearly is. It's clearly a lot worse than we expected. No hate on the seniors, no hate on the rec center, but my God, Jagmeet, this is what it's come to, huh? Holy shite. Alright, guys, that's gonna do it for today's show. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day or night. Adios.